Okay, Nick and Andy, massive game in North London this weekend. Spurs against Liverpool, two giants who are struggling along a little bit, but are like, okay, we can figure this out and finish in the top four at least. Maybe it's that tight right now in the Premier League. But what are your thoughts, Nick Mendola, heading into this game? Because I want to be entertained, and I feel like I'm going to be with this one.
Yes, 100%. 100% entertainment the whole way through. And look, I have trouble with both of these teams. I do think, not in the way we say Erling Haaland is inevitable, but I think Liverpool are inevitable. They are going to find their way by hook or by crook. It's not necessarily going to look the best, but they have too many good players to not be hanging around the top four picture all year long. Spurs, to me, are a much bigger question. And I wonder if you were to tell Thomas Frank, and we obviously would have known he was missing Kulusevski for a while, but you're also going to be missing James Maddison for a while. I wonder if he would have tempered his expectations at the start of the season if he knew he wouldn't have both of those playmakers. So for Spurs, I still think it's gutting it out. And Andy's probably going to hate me for this because he's a Spurs fan, but I really do think Kulusevski is their most valuable player, maybe outside of Van de Ven. And, in terms of replaceability, I'm not telling you he's the best player on the team, but you want those forwards to look better, put that Swedish guy in. Like he does so much for them. And I don't know why, something wrong with my brain, but I thought he was going to be back by now. And now I'm wondering, what are their chances going to be when he's back? Because I think they're just a much better team with him.
Andy, do you agree with that? And then also Thomas Frank, the pressure on him, the fans are kind of getting on his back a bit. Obviously, a really disappointing defeat at Nottingham Forest last time out in the league. So this is, I feel like a big moment for him. And he could really do have a positive result here, couldn't he?
Yeah, you know what Spurs could use at this point of the season right now? A timeout, a breather, a winter break. A couple weeks, they all go away. Everybody forgets about everything that's happened the last few weeks or the last couple months now at this point, and we return January 10th with a renewed sense of energy and belief in one another, and everything can be happy-go-lucky at Spurs. Once again, I genuinely think that's the only way kind of out of this situation at the moment, where I don't think the squad's very good. There are a lot of good individual players in there, and you can say, oh, on his day, Mohamed Kudus can beat anybody. Xavi Simons can create. He can score goals in the Bundesliga. Can he do it in the Premier League? The jury's still very much out on that. I just don't think the squad's very good. And Nick is right. Some kind of attacking, playmaking type midfielder in there is the piece that is missing. But at the same time, I think we saw much worse is a harsh word, but less notorious, less talented, less expensive teams that Thomas Frank had at Brentford, that he was able to conjure up a game plan. Okay, here's the weakness of the opponent we're playing today. We are going to exploit that in this way. I don't see that ever from this Spurs team. I think part of that's on the manager. I think part of it's on the players, because I think they would struggle to execute it as well. And so there's just, Spurs is a mess at the moment. And I genuinely, I think the worst thing for them right now is to try to play their way out of it, because they're going to play a ton of games here in the next couple of weeks. And the depth is not great. The confidence is shattered. The fans are really on Frank and the players back now. Every home game, it's boos at halftime. It's boos at full time. They've won one or two games at home this season in the league. So, like, Joe, find me a positive there in Spurs season, would you?
Just, there's no way they can keep giving up these kind of goals. So I think
yes, there is. Yes, there is. Yes, there is.
Okay. Well, to me, there's the huge mistakes at the back, and just in big moments in games. I think the inconsistency we kind of expected probably when Thomas Frank came in. There was a lot to unpack from last season. Total different change in style, a lot of new players, but yeah, I think there's still just very basic errors defensively being made. So if Spurs can clean that up, I do have faith that the improvement in set piece situations, the small gains in other areas will build up. And, I think the best thing you can say about Spurs this season so far is that everything that's happened, well, look how many points they are off the top four. 6 points off the top four heading into the festive period. So they have a good festive period, Andy. All of a sudden, they could be back in the Champions League spots.
Joe, they need to. Here's the thing: they need to beat someone who, I don't want to say who matters because that's disrespectful. But they beat City early in the season. I think Villarreal real early in the Champions League, and who have they beaten since then? Whereas you have Liverpool, who could use a big name in the Premier League win. But we've seen them beat Inter Milan and Real Madrid over the last week. So while this is a big league game for both of them, a Spurs win here or a result here, I think could go a long way in instilling some confidence.
I agree with that. And as you spoke about Spurs' injuries, Nick, I mean, Liverpool's struggling with injuries now a little bit as well. Just had a few other injuries popping up: Gakpo, Gomez, Endo, and again, players that are sort of good for this time of year. I would say a lot of those you can rotate in and out of the lineup, and given some of the struggles other key players have had with form and stuff, but. Ekitike's been excellent. I mean, 4 goals in his last 2 Premier League games.
So fun.
Overachieving. Of all the signings they made this summer, he is the one that is above all the others in terms of performance and output. Do you think he starts up top with Isak? I know they tried that in a few games, and I kind of would like to see that, but they probably have to do that given that they don't have many other options in midfield and out wide at the moment with Salah going away to AFCON and other injuries. So I'm intrigued to see how that works for Liverpool going forward.
I mean, I think they have to. The only way they don't, well, I think they have to, period. Unless Isak's going through some sort of Salah thing behind the scenes, you play your best players when they're firing at their best. And the price tag in this case doesn't matter. I like, not to get on a tangent, but this made me so much more confident in Newcastle because they were after Ekitike, and then they bought Voltemata, and I think they're both that sort of Firmino type of player that fits into a system. Like, he can give you 20 goals if you want to rely on him. But if you want to get 6, 7, 8, 9 assists off him as a center forward, he can give you that too. And I've seen that from Isak, but he just feels so much more direct to me. He feels so much more ready to shoot, or almost like he has to shoot. And right now, what they need with the pieces around him, and at least until Wirtz really gets going, because I think he's playmaking well, but this is a guy who can score goals as well, is someone who's confident. And I mean, I just don't think they can afford to go away from the hot hand at this point in their season.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And I think, obviously, Andy, the Salah situation, he's gone away to AFCON now, and it's calmed down for at least a few weeks, we think, until the transfer window opens, and then we'll go from there. But I have to hand it to Arne Slot. I think he handled it really well. And then, you know what? You say it all the time. There was a grown-up in the room when Joe Gomez gets injured against Brighton. Nobody probably would have really expected Salah to be the first name off the bench, but he came on in the first half in that game, fired up, hungry, played really well, got an assist, could have even scored a few. And yeah, I think just a word on that situation and where you think that might be heading, because I don't think it's totally resolved, but it was a step in the right direction for him to have a future at Liverpool.
Yeah, the Slot has played this perfectly. Like you say, he has been the adult in the room. The more I look at it now from Salah's perspective, and if Liverpool's season turns around with him gone and they look more defensively stable and they start to, generate some chances consistently, and it's not all the Salah show, be careful what you wish for. He might have overplayed his hand just a little bit in this situation if he goes away for a month now, because it's out of his control at the moment. The team could perform fantastically without him, and Slot could say, actually, from a morale and chemistry perspective, it might be better to move on from him in January. It could actually behoove the club at that point. So I would be worried about that. I think what I see for this game is I think I see a goal and 2 assists from Florian Wirtz, because that is what Spurs do. You remember Eberechi Eze about a month ago now, getting his first goals for Arsenal, and he ends up with a hat trick in that game. I think we see something like that, and I think Salah's extended absence probably allows Slot to tilt the team, bend the team in different ways around different players to get the most out of them. And I think Wirtz is probably the one that he's going to look at first and say, we need to maximize him.
Yeah, and of course, Dominic Szoboszlai struggling with an injury as well, so that's big for Liverpool. He's been, their player of the season so far. I'm going to go score prediction. I'm going to go wild with my score prediction. I'm going to go 3-3, Nick. I just see this being end-to-end. I think defensively, obviously, both teams are struggling, but I think if you press them high, both teams will make mistakes, and they have players who can finish and have the quality in the final third. So I am interested to see in midfield as well with Liverpool, Jones, McAllister, Gravenberch. I think they've kind of got it got back to what they were doing last season a little bit, and they could control the tempo of this game and really make it tough for Spurs to break through. But I see a lot of goals in this one. What do you see?
Whew. Wow, that lifted my eyebrows a bit. I'm actually going to go in a different direction. I'm going to say 2-1 to Liverpool.
Okay.
I think there's a chance that it looks a lot like a bigger gulf between 2-1, but I like the players at the back for Spurs to damage limitation is there. It's probably the strength of the team right now. I would say, I don't know, like not the actual defending, but in terms of if you were to pick, let's say it's Romero and Van de Ven, I think they could start for most teams in the world. And so I think they will limit the damage, but 2-1 Liverpool.
Andy?
3-1, and I don't think it's particularly competitive. Yeah, exactly what I meant, Joe. Okay. I look at, if it's Kudus, Richarlison, Kolomouani, which was the starting front three against Forest from over the, they're not going to cause Liverpool's defense any problems in possession or out of possession. Like there's just, I don't know where the path to goals are with this team at the moment. I've been saying it all season, and it's not getting better. It's actually getting worse at the moment.
Maybe set pieces. That could be the way. Liverpool haven't defended those particularly well this season. Just trying to give you a positive, Andy, like you asked me to during it, mate. So let's end on a positive.
I'll take it.
All right. Head over to Pro Soccer Talk on NBCSports.com for all the latest on Spurs against Liverpool. Massive game in North London. Let's see if these two giants can wake up a little bit and get themselves kick-started ahead of the busy festive season.
Hi there, I'm Rebecca Lowe, studio host of NBC's coverage of the Premier League. Don't forget to hit subscribe to watch more videos all season long. And for even more Premier League content, from original series to live matches, head over to Peacock.